Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and here we are. It's another final issue of a canceled series that Mariko Tamaki has worked on. This is X-23 number 12. I feel like I've been through this before. Oh yeah, with She-Hulk. At least She-Hulk, it seemed like she was trying to get better at the end. This issue, it was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna write whatever comes out and get a paycheck. Which I suppose I can't blame her for. But it's this book, she just doesn't care. She did not care. And the one issue, what was that, around issue 6, where they went to the high school and it had the robot and the bubblegum cannon, that really stupid issue. It was almost like Mariko said, how can I top that? How can I write something even dumber? How about gene spliced turkeys with the X-23 DNA? Yeah. Does Marvel editorial even look at what their writers submit anymore? It used to be that, they would have the writer summits, or the writers would pitch their ideas to their editors, and there have been classic stories, the Dark Phoenix saga. The way it ended the way it ended was because Jim Shooter stepped in, and it actually made the story better. There's a lot of stories like that, where editorial steps in and says, no, we can't do that. And things get changed or whatever. And, sometimes for the better, sometimes, not so much. But editorial just doesn't care at Marvel, and that's why I get ticked, because how do these stories get greenlit? I swear to God. So, about this book. I mean, looking at the cover, I mentioned it before, I hate these covers. I really hate, it's not quite a pinup, but, the covers that just look like a trading card. And they're not even done well sometimes. Look at this. Look at her arms. Okay, so, the way this is supposed to be like foreshadowed, like the elbow is coming out a little bit more. That's the only reason why it could be, a couple inches shorter. But it's not really, kind of slightly going over. It doesn't look right. The shadows don't really match up. Don't care. Just don't. No one cares. And maybe I'm old school. I'd like to have an issue. I'd like the cover to be representative of what's going on in the issue. That's how you get interest. You see, X-23 fighting, ninja zombies or something, and you're like, oh, that looks cool. What about this says, oh, yeah, this is, I gotta have this. I gotta know what's going on. She's just kind of looking at me. She just has some makeup on her eyes, and I don't know what that expression is. She's smiling. Is it sultry? I don't know. What is this supposed to represent? I'm not even going to get into the issue of how her claws don't even seem to be the right length apart between the... Anyway, it's just turning in for a paycheck. No one cares. Sorry, I don't mean to steal that line from Zach, but it's so appropriate. So, as we know, the end of the previous issue, Gabby, Honey Badger, has stormed off. This entire series has been about hunting down clones. Basically based on Laura, the X-23 gene, Splice and other things. We had that whole thing with Scout, that cyborg clone, and that was the turning point, because Gabby felt a real kinship. She really feels for these clones. And, Laura just sees it as, they all need to be destroyed. And, it's... in the hands of a good writer, that dichotomy could actually work out very well. Having the same goal of stopping the X-23 DNA from being abused, but one person wants to destroy all the clones, the other person wants to save them. In the hands of a capable writer, that would work. Mariko Tamaki is really not a capable writer. I mean, I know she's an award-winning young fiction, young author, whatever it is. And I know she's got a book coming out that focuses on a teenage poison ivy. I think it may be like a trade paperback or something coming later this year, and I'm kind of tempted to check it out. But I don't want to be like stalking Mariko. I really, one of the things I've said before is she enjoys writing young characters. X-23 has barely had a personality throughout this book. Yes, I know she's stoic, but the X-23 you see in this book is completely different than you see in the X-Men books, which is a real shame. But you can tell she loves writing Gabby, but she also likes writing the LOL, also, LOL, so random type characters. So anyway, here's X-23 just sleeping in her clothes, just laying there on the bed. I guess she's not really sleeping. Gabby stormed out the night before. Someone on the street is, blasting music. And this is in New York City. And, she hears a crash, so she goes out to get Gabby. Now, I've never lived in New York City. But I understand that it's pretty darn expensive. Where is Laura getting the money to afford these? And look at this kitchen. I mean, granted, this is not quite a studio apartment. We know it has a couple bedrooms. And I swear there was another scene where, in a previous issue, where the back of it was facing the kitchen, had more of a door to it. I don't know if they're using the same layout. I'd have to check. But look at the size of that kitchen. I've been looking at houses lately, and one of my things is I want a decent sized kitchen. I want plenty of counter space, so I can cook a little bit, more often. And look at that! Look at the size of that kitchen. I don't know. It's something I got stuck on. This place is huge. Anyway, so she hears a noise. She has a little flashback, and apparently the crash she heard was a mouse knocking down a jar of honey. No, wait. Did you just have the jar of honey just sitting out, like on a shelf, and it got knocked over? Because, while we see the bits of glass in there, that's really not how honey pours out. Have you ever... I'm going to tell a little story. When I was in high school, we decided to prank someone by filling their locker with honey. And it was a pain because we figured, it's so gooey, it'll be a pain in the ass to clean up. And I'm not really proud of this story, to be honest. It was kind of a dick move. But it was hard to actually get the honey out of the jar. And you're telling me that a jar that fell over... By the way, even though it's cracked, the lid just popped off like this, and it's just now free flowing like that. That's not how honey... Maybe they just have weak honey in New York. I don't know. Maybe we just have the good stuff here. So, anyway, she gets a call from Hank and from the Beast, and talking more about the X-23 clone research, going through more company data. It really doesn't matter, because this is the last issue. And she gets another phone call from Gabby, where she just conveniently puts her phone down next to, where Gabby is figured out Scout. She's going to call that clone Scout, which, spoiler alert, Gabby's going to start calling herself Scout. She gets a new costume at the end. I'm not going to show it, but it's basically a white and blue costume, and she's not going to be Honey Badger anymore. Yeah, fine, whatever. So she gets a call from Gabby. I'm not calling for help. When we stopped that train that time in Morocco, how do we do that? Why? And then we get the scene of her fighting all these people on the roof of the train. Tell me where you are. It's stupid. And Gabby says, I got this. And Laura says, I'm using your locator. I'm coming now. So, Gabby, who I think we figured, I think I figured this out. She's like around 12 years old. And even Laura comments, earlier on, just a couple pages before. So what if Gabby stormed out last night? She's not a kid. She's a lethal weapon. Even if she's a lethal weapon, you just let her go out into the streets of New York City? Who's going to say that someone else might not get hurt because of her? And all this time, and the reason I bring this up is all this time you had a locator. You could have at least followed from a distance. Laura's a crappy guardian. So yeah, she has her locator. She gets on her bike. She's going to go after her. And this is where it gets... I don't know, maybe it's because the locator, she somehow is able to catch up to a bullet train and get ahead of it. Maybe she knows the shortcuts. Like she said, she had a locator and maybe is following... I don't know. Maybe Wise is really good on her phone and she can track down the trains. So Laura jumps into the fray and finds... Wait for it. Turkeys. Yeah, turkeys. Turkeys that have been spliced with the X-23 DNA. You know, smell them. They smell like turkey and us. Great. I tried to free them. But they didn't like that. So she's throwing the turkeys out of the train, and with God as my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. Okay, I'm going to give you that joke. You may not know it. It's only from one of the greatest TV shows of all time. Yeah, I pulled out the box set just to give the setup for that joke. Anyway, so Laura is obviously, rightfully so, confused. It's possible that they're part of a project Harvest was working on with our DNA with turkeys, apparently. So they could have been X-bunnies? I guess. Wait. So your mission is saving these X-turkeys. Why? Because that's my mission. And Laura has a point here. What the hell, Gabby? You eat turkey. Shut up. They can hear you. I eat turkey too. And, while at the Metro Park, I was driving down the road, and there were some wild turkeys crossing the road, and I stopped for them. So... Yeah, whatever. Just because I eat them doesn't mean I want to kill them, but... Why? Why are they doing this? What? Okay, fine. It was your idea to come. If you don't want to help, go. So fine. Okay. She's going to rescue the turkeys. Let's go along with this. Okay. So as she goes back into the back of the train, there's a giant robot arm that punches her through the train. So then Laura goes up and takes out the robot arm. And that's not your typical locomotive security system. Not that I've been on a lot of trains. It's high security for probably very expensive turkeys. Where are you? Here. Stupid train claw can't get rid of me that easy. So... They saved the X-turkeys, but what's going on? The train has a self-destruct mechanism. Oh, Jesus. So, of course, Gabby gets upset because, Scout, they had a self-destruct mechanism, and, she's feeling all bad, I should have saved her, Laura, and I just let her go. Well, let's save some turkeys. Why isn't it focusing? Even my phone doesn't want to look at this. So they're going to try to save the turkeys. Okay, fine. Let's just go along with it. And the explosions start happening in the front of the train, and the cars are now exploding on the way back, and they're racing to get to the car where the turkeys are. We're almost, and they get blown off of the train. And Gabby is obviously upset. And so they get blown clear of the wreckage, and yeah, somehow the honey badger got through. But I'm going to turn the page here. I do need to stop because we are really close to the end of the book, but I really need to show this. Well, what do you know? X-turkeys are flame resistant, and they can fly. What? Laura sums this up so well. I mean, sure, why not? That's Marvel editorial right there. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. I want you to realize, other than the mooks that they fought, on the top of the beginning of the issue, on top of um, the train has a giant claw arm, which I don't know why that car just has one claw arm. What? Just that one car. So we have the guards, this claw arm, a self-destruct mechanism to protect turkeys that have been spliced with the X gene. Why? It makes no goddamn sense. And it's even... Gabby pulls this up. I don't even know if you can cook a turkey with X-23 healing ability. It would take a long time. No, it would work. No, it would not. Obviously, Mariko, you don't know. You decapitate a turkey, just like you do with most birds. You cut off their head. And it's long been said that's one of the proven ways to kill, someone with, like, Logan's healing ability. You drown them, or you cut off their head. And then after that, it doesn't matter how quickly they can regen. I'm pretty sure their flame-resistant ability would disappear after that, because, they're dead. But flame-resistant, and they can fly. Why? Who does that? Who thought this would be a good idea? I mean, okay, I'm not just the issue. Not just the issue. Let's go in story. In universe, who thought, hey, let's take turkeys and splice them with the X-23 DNA? Because apparently this stuff is hard to come by. Soldiers makes sense. Okay, I would even give dogs. You could breed attack dogs. And attack dogs that could, go out into the battlefield. Soldiers attack them and they just heal quick. And I mean, that's kind of nightmarish. Okay, maybe a bear. A bear with the X-23 gene, and you turn it on. Turkeys, why turkeys? Now, granted, wild turkeys can get pretty mean. But you wouldn't be making an army of turkeys. Millions of dollars, not including the cost of the train. What company does that? And I'm just trying to look for in-universe, reasons. Outside of universe, why? Who thought this would be a good idea? Who thought, hey, that issue with the X-23 turkeys? That green light that issue. Editorial. Oh God, they had to put it in red. Was that Darren Shaw? Darren Shan? Oh, Jordan B. White, of course. Gee, I can't imagine why they're just kind of rebooting all the X books and why that's all getting torn down and rebuilt. Gee, I can't imagine why the X-Men image is so tarnished at the moment. That's garbage. This is frickin' garbage, and I'm glad to see this is gone. I am glad to see this book is gone. Now, granted, aside from some of the layouts of the apartment complex, the art isn't bad. And I've said that throughout the series. I actually don't mind the art. Sometimes it's actually pretty cool. We get some of the flame effects here. Some of the explosions. Some of this looks genuinely good. And I think this artist, who's the artist on this? Oh yeah, Diego. I always forget who it is. Diego would be much better served on a good book. But here we are. We've got another canceled book. Tamaki kind of ruined the She-Hulk character. Brought her back at the end. I will give her credit, but I kind of feel that was editorial. And then Jason Aaron just said, screw it. Let's go back to this monster form. This book, canceled again. At Marvel, especially in comics these days, depending on who you just fail upwards. A book doesn't sell like this. Every book you work on gets canceled after 12 to 15 issues. You just give them more work. Just give them another book. Eventually something will stick, right? We're going to see that with Kelly Thompson. Yet another book canceled. I'm sure she's going to be getting another one soon. That's Marvel these days. That stuff is freaking garbage. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm glad to see this is gone. And I had to dig this out because I think to wash the taste out of this, from my mouth, I'm going to wash something good. Oh, God. Lonnie Anderson was hot. She used to be really hot. And so was Bailey Quarters. Oh, this show was so good. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.